guys, you're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and as this Yule season is coming upon us, as this Christmas time of year is coming upon us, I've just been so inspired to do the herbalism videos on the fruits that are seasonal, especially to where I'm at here in the Pacific Northwest. And today's video is going to be on pear, and as well as prickly pear, because within these books it shows up under both. And I will be defining between the two. I don't have a prickly pear to show you, but remember when we made prickly pear ink? That is the red prickly pear. There is also a green one that looks exactly like it, but it's a very light green, a little bit lighter than this. And these are the fruits of the cactus, okay? So let me tip you down and show you what's going to be upcoming. We've got taro root, fresh tangerine with a vine on even, yam, sweet potato, and parsnip. Okay, so those are some that I've found in the local grocer and wanted to get onto and start doing some videos on, because it is the time of year where we are seeing these a lot in the grocery store. I'm not saying you'll never see me do a watermelon video in the winter. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but let's take a look at this first pear. It's red, it's really pretty gorgeous. It's more of a local here to where I am in the Seattle area, and it's called Star Crimson. Star Crimson. Oh, focus on that, Peanuts. Star Crimson. And then the next one is a green one, and it's the D'Anjou. D''Anjou. D'Anjou. I'm never sure on how to pronounce that. Now, whenever you can, you're going to want to try and get these fruits organic, because they don't have a skin where you can really scrub them off. The skin's much too delicate for that. And eating them straight from the tree, the taste of those around here in the Northwest, they do always have a bit of a sour taste, as in the winter is when the pear kind of really finishes here. But when the winter comes, it has this sweet crispness to it that's amazing. So the first book I want to read out of is Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia for Magical Herbs. And in this book he just says pear, and he doesn't define it between prickly or these standards. But in his other books he does talk about two different types. So in Encyclopedia of Magical Herbalism by Scott Cunningham, I find it on page 197. And I've done some beautiful art there. It does grow on a tree like an apple. We have pear trees around here. And they grow wild around here as well, just out in the forests. So let's see, it says gender is feminine, planet is Venus. Yeah. And feminine for sure. A pear shape is such a womanly shape. Just think of, if you're trying to remember the gender, the pear shape is like a woman's shaped body, a pear-shaped body. Element is water. Most fruits are mostly water, just like we are. So water is usually an element for most of the fruits. The powers are love and lust. Especially this red one would be representative of love and lust. Magical uses. Now, this is not when we ingest it. It's when we dry it and use it for magics, or if we did a spell out of a fresh pear. Magical uses. The fruit is used in love spells and also is eaten to induce sexual arousal. Pear wood, so where the tree makes a big branch, just like this is apple wood from an apple tree, which grows so similarly. Okay, here's some apple wood I've got. Pear wood, and that's what he's talking about here. Pear wood makes fine magical wands, and it is said that witches once danced beneath pear trees. Okay. Alright, so that's what we've got. It's just a short little snippet in Cunningham's Magical Herb Encyclopedia. And then now we're on to Cunningham and David Harrington's Magical Household, okay? And we find Pear in two places. On page 84 in Magical Household. My apologies, it's on a different page. It's on page 90 in Magical Household. And it says, it's basically talking about the Mystic Garden. And I will just read you this paragraph from start to where it talks about pear. Prickly pear, not these type, the cactus fruit type. Transplanting has its own rules. A tree can be transplanted any time of year, during the waxing moon, as long as you water it every day, exactly at noon, and continue this faithfully until it first rains. According to old instructions, transplanting trees must be placed in a position relative to their former position. Example, the east side of the tree should face the east in its new home. If you plant a lawn, mow it during the moon's first and second quarters for lush growth, or during the moon's wane for decreasing growth. There are some particular garden spells. Now this is where the pear really starts. Particular garden spells. To stop ghosts from walking through your green corner, so your garden, boil prickly pear roots. Okay, so the roots of the cactus? In stump water. Now, I need stump water. If anybody is out here in the Northwest and has any good ideas for how I can collect that, the best time of year, anything woodland hag, I inspire me to do so much stump magic. I just found a stump outside of my house, but it's really small and it's taller than I am. I'd actually have to climb on the fence to use it. But in that way, I feel like the stump is magical. Anyway, I need to know more about stump magic. Therefore, I need to read more and do a video on it so that it's in my virtual grimoire here, which is my channel, my Book of Shadows. So, there are some particular garden spells. To stop ghosts from walking through your green corner, boil prickly pear roots in stump water. Then sprinkle the yard with the mixture. If you're fresh out of stump water, lilies planted in the garden will do the same job. But then it's not even about pear. Okay, that's what I found in here about prickly pear. Next, I found a snippet of it here in, David Hoffman's The Herbal Handbook. And this is a user guide to medical herbalism. And I've seen a couple other people with this book too, which made me so happy. So in here it talks about pear, and it's just a snippet. On page 220, it says pear. The large storage cells make the pear an inappropriate fruit for conditions such as diverticulitis, because it worsens any bowel inflammation, acting like sandpaper. So if you have very tender bowels, it sounds like pears are not good because of a property that makes it feel like sandpaper on the exit. Otherwise, it's an excellent fruit. And that's all it says in this little book about pears. So ask your naturopath, will pears upset my IBS or whatever you have going on within your body. In Supermarket Sabbaths, we look it up for the polarity, don't we? And it also gives us magical energies if for some reason we can't find our magical energies in here, because this is herbs, right? But a lot of the fruits fall under it because they fall under herbalism. However, you'll find more fruits in here than you will in that green book. So in this book, if for some reason it didn't mention it in Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia for Magical Herbs, this book does give me magical properties, and they almost always match up with Scotty's, so I can trust this for the most part. And here it says pear, element is water, planet is Venus, polarity is yin, and the magical uses are love. And again, in Scotty's it said love and lust, so you can trust it, that this book might just not have everything Scotty has to say about it, or it might have a little bit more, but I feel like it's a good go-to if it never comes up in that book. before I read in here, I'm going to read a little bit out of Sky Alexander's spell book, because this is another place where you can get the magical use, because the magical use is different than the ingested magical use. Alright, so spell book, we found it under page 244, which is the magical fruit table, and Pear, it says love, health, and prosperity. Okay, so this one doesn't match up to Scotty's as much, ever. So Sky Alexander really takes a different take than Scotty. For me, I would just take the love, because that's the one that comes up so much. And of course, Scotty said it was also good for lust. But apparently, you could also add in, if you wanted to, these are not Scott Cunningham words, you could add in health and prosperity. Okay. Next, and we talked about Sabbath. Next, we're on to the last one, which is Wicca in the Kitchen by Scott Cunningham. And it pops up on a lot of pages, and of course, just like when it pops up on a lot of pages in this book, there's a couple discrepancies. And I just try and help the author and you guys when you go to look it up on a page and it's not there. Okay, so it says Pear, page 101, and this is, I'm reading from page 375 in the index. It's on page 101, 119, 120, 122, and that's prickly pear, 233, and that's prickly pear, 245, 290, 323, but I couldn't find it, 325, 326, but I couldn't find it, 327 had prickly pear and it was nowhere in the index, so I found that on my own. So make sure you add in page 327 for prickly pear. Page 328. And then it says it's on page 30, but it's not. However, I found one on page 329 and 331, which wasn't listed in the index. So, again, the authors have so much to do while they're building these indexes. I just try and help them out. Alright, so first we find it on page 101, and it's just mentioned under, it says, the pomegranate of Mesopotamia, the strawberries of the Teutons, the coconut and banana of the Pacific Islanders, the apples of the Avalon, the pear and the peach of China. These are some of the fruits that have been revered as direct links with the deity. Okay, so pear has been revered and had a direct link with the deity. Great to know. Thank you, Scotty. Next, we find it on page 119, and that's when we just get like a snippet that does go on to the next page a bit, but it's not saying a lot. However, interesting stuff. Planet Venus, element water. Again, this is when we ingest it, not when we use it for magical workings, but when we ingest it, the magic of that. Energies, longevity and money. So see how the energies are different? Lore. Pear trees can continue to bear fruit for as long as 300 years. That is amazing. That's amazing. I don't know if Alex knew that. I should ask him. According to ancient Chinese lore, due to their extraordinary longevity, pears are eaten to impart magical life extension to humans. That's beautiful. Athena was worshipped as the mother of pear trees in ancient Greece. In Russia, cows were protected with pear charms. In the U.S., pears are eaten for good luck on Thanksgiving. Okay, Thanksgiving just passed here in the U.S. last week. Ah, funny, exactly a week ago today, as it's Thursday right now. So, that's so funny. Pears are eaten for good luck on Thanksgiving. Good to know. Magical uses. These fruits are eaten for longer life and for money. They can be used fresh or in the form of pear bread, pear tarts, and other desserts. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, next we find it on, and it's coming up as prickly pear, just 2 pages later on page 122. Planet for prickly pear. Now, that's not this one, that's the cactus, okay? And you can find those in pink and red, just like these. That's so funny, huh? Element is fire. Energy is protection. Magical uses. Prickly pears, known as tunas in Spanish, produce deliciously juicy fruits. The red ones I make magical ink out of. They're so dark, so red. They're sometimes available in southwestern markets, or can be, because they're a cactus fruit, or can be picked straight off the plants, but take care not to prick your fingers on the spines. For the sale in the stores have been despined already, but if you were to pick it in nature, there are big spines attached. The fruits are surprisingly sweet and quite delicious. Eat it as a part of protection diets. Prickly pear jelly and jam are sometimes available in grocery stores and can also be eaten for protection. Fantastic. Now we're on to page 233, where we find it near the top under protection fruits. And it's just in a category telling you all the fruits for protection. Next we are on to page 245, where near the top we find it under money fruits. Okay, when you ingest it, it's good for monies. All the monies. And yeah, pear, money fruits. On to page 290, where we find that luck foods, it is lucky to eat a pear on Thanksgiving. Okay, now we're on to page 324. 324, is that right? No, 325. We couldn't find it on 323. If anybody who has this book, who knows to look, can find it on there, please let me know, but I did not find pear on 323. But I did find it on 325, and it says that pear is the fruit and that relates to the planet Venus. And you can see all the other Venus foods. So you could make a Venus salad. And for instance, it's like alfalfa sprouts, apple, carrot, apricot, cherry, guava, licorice, nectarine. So you know how we read it in the big form and it already said all this stuff? Well, now you can find it in this chart, and that's where Scotty tells you all the pages to find it on in this book. So yes, the next one is on to page 327, talking about prickly pear, and that is a fire fruit or food. And then we're on to page 328, where pear comes up as a water food, generally used in promoting water foods. These foods are generally used in promoting love, psychic awareness, peace and happiness, purification, sleep, healing, and friendships. And pear falls under that big long list. If you guys want to see videos on these lists, like I would love to see a video on all the, foods of the element fire or water or whatever. Let me know. I can do them up for you. Or on Gemini, all the foods of Gemini, your birth sign, whatever it may be. Just let me know. Next, we find pear on page 331, where it comes up at the bottom under Libra. Okay? So pear is Libra. And that is it. And that 331, that's the page that didn't show up in the index for whatever reason. Okay, guys, I feel like I should take a bite of each of these pears and tell you how they taste. This is the D'Anjou, or Danjou. Okay, so the skin, oh man, it has a beautiful tart and sweet. More tart than sweet a little bit, and that's what I like. It tastes on the outside like it's been on the tree not long ago. And what I mean by that tree taste is like, it's hard to explain. It's almost like a pithiness, but in a good way. It's like nature puts this coating on the outside, and when you look at it, it looks like, not like wax, but a thin coating of light. Nature, I don't know what to call it. And it also tastes different in the green area than it does in the red area. Now let's taste this Star Crimson, this red pear. Both nice and crunchy is what I love. This one has more of a banana taste to it right away, whereas this one was just nice and sour. Looks like banana candy. I'm not a fan of banana candy, but this tastes like banana candy, in my opinion. I'm a way bigger fan of this one, but this one's great. This would be really good in a saute of like Oh man. Cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, star anise. Saute that up with some like Kerrygold butter with these pears and put it over vanilla bean ice cream. Holy potatoes. That sounds amazing. What would I do with these? This would be great for like just eat alone. Or a salad with goat cheese, arugula, spring mix, you know, that spicy rocket. Oh, it's so yummy. Swiss chard. Maybe you could cut this really small julienne matchsticks and put it on top of any salad, or you could put it on top of like a dessert like that. I don't know. I might even put it on a pizza or a sandwich. I had a pizza once that had goat cheese, walnuts, pears, and figs, I think, and it was like one of the best things ever. Pagliacci pizza here in the Seattle area is delicious. Okay, guys, thanks for joining me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, while we talked about pears and witchcraft and magic and how you can use them. Make sure to come up and join me for these upcoming videos on taro root, tangerine, yam, sweet potato, parsnip, etc. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.